Out in the desert, while most riders sleep inside climate-controlled tents and rely on full teams working on their bikes, there's a small group facing everything completely alone. They ride for more than 435 miles in a single day, over 700 kilometers, and when the stage finally ends, they still have to become mechanics, engineers, and strategists, using their own hands, under total exhaustion. There is a category inside the Dakar Rally so brutal that even the competitors themselves describe it as a mission of survival. No team, no support, no rest, just you, the bike, and the desert. What kind of rider willingly chooses to face the most ruthless category in the entire Dakar Rally? What drives a rider to push beyond his limits, night after night, sleeping only a few hours while his body is breaking down? And how does this category revive the original spirit of one of the most dangerous races on Earth? Before we can answer any of that, we need to go back to where it all began. The Dakar Rally was born in 1979, created by French adventurer Thierry Sabine after he got lost in the Libyan desert during a previous race. The idea was simple and brutal, to build a race where the main enemy wouldn't be the clock, but the terrain itself. From day one, Dakar was conceived as an extreme crossing, combining navigation, physical endurance, and survival in hostile environments, far from any conventional infrastructure. Over the decades, Dakar changed continents, but never its essence. It began in Africa, cutting through deserts like the Sahara. Later, it moved to South America, where riders faced the Andes Mountains and the Atacama Desert. In recent years, it settled in Saudi Arabia, a landscape that feels like a return to the rally's roots. Vast emptiness, isolation, and extreme temperatures. The geography changed. The brutality did not. It simply adapted to new natural challenges. Today, Dakar features multiple categories: cars, trucks, UTVs, and motorcycles. But since the very beginning, motorcycles have held a unique and respected place within the rally. Unlike cars and trucks, a motorcycle rider is completely exposed. No cabin, no structural protection, no margin for error. Every navigation decision, every mechanical failure, and every physical mistake lands directly on the rider's body. That's why inside the Dakar, motorcycles are often considered the elite of the rally. They demand more than speed. They require precise terrain reading, absolute mastery of roadbook navigation, and physical endurance far beyond normal racing standards. Riders cover hundreds of miles each day, maintain full concentration for hours, and still need enough energy left to face the next stage, something very few sports in the world demand at this level. Technically, Dakar bikes have nothing in common with regular adventure motorcycles. While big adventure bikes focus on comfort and range, rally bikes are built for pure performance and extreme survival. They weigh around 375 pounds, about 170 kilograms, feature chrome moly steel frames designed to absorb constant impacts, more powerful engines, and long travel suspension. With over 12 inches of front travel, more than 300 millimeters, fuel tanks can hold up to 9.2 gallons, around 35 liters, and advanced digital navigation systems turn these machines into tools built to endure days of relentless mechanical abuse in the desert. Dakar motorcycles carry a strange paradox. They are incredibly advanced machines, engineered to help riders control unpredictable terrain, yet they operate constantly at the absolute limit, light for their size, stable at high speed, and razor responsive. They demand total precision, because any mistake, a navigation error, a simple crash, or a mechanical oversight can end the race instantly or put a rider's life at serious risk. But if the Dakar is already extreme by definition, what happens when you strip away almost all external support that makes this challenge possible? That's exactly where the most radical category of the entire rally begins. Get ready. This story is about to completely change the way you see the Dakar. The original by Motul category was created to revive the purest spirit of the Dakar Rally, a version where the rider is, quite literally, alone against the desert. In this category, competitors receive no external assistance. There are no personal mechanics, no support crews, and no technical help beyond what is strictly standardized by the organization. In practical terms, that means everything that happens to the bike during the day Crashes, breakdowns, worn components must be dealt with by the rider alone. During the day, he races. When the stage ends, he becomes the mechanic, the engineer, and the strategist. If the bike isn't fixed by the next morning, the rally ends right there. The rules are unforgiving. Each original by Motul rider is allowed only a highly limited set of equipment: a personal trunk, one spare wheel set, basic tools, selected spare parts, a simple tent, and minimal lighting to work through the night. There is no comfort, there is no luxury, and there is no improvisation beyond what the rider himself is capable of creating. There are no massages, no climate-controlled tents, no one preparing the bike while the rider rests. There is only the silence of the bivouac, the sound of tools striking hot metal, and exhausted riders trying to steal a few hours of sleep before facing it all again the next day. The biggest shock for anyone entering Original by Motul isn't speed or terrain. It's cumulative exhaustion. After stages that can exceed 435 miles, more than 700 kilometers, many riders arrive at the bivouac at the absolute edge of their limits. And even then, going straight to sleep isn't an option. Bike maintenance can consume almost the entire night. In this routine, some competitors manage to sleep only 2 hours per night for several consecutive days. The body enters a state of chronic exhaustion. Tendinitis, burns from contact with overheated parts, severe dehydration, and heat exhaustion become part of daily life. As sleep deprivation piles up, even more dangerous effects emerge. Riders report lapses in attention, disorientation, and even hallucinations during stages. At some point, it becomes clear the biggest enemy is no longer the desert. It's the rider's own brain, no longer capable of maintaining focus. There are stories of riders finishing a stage completely drained, sitting on the ground at the bivouac and working deep into the night replacing clutches, adjusting suspension, or rebuilding damaged sections of the bike. Every mechanical decision made under extreme fatigue can determine whether they start or don't start the next day. In this environment, Original by Motul makes one thing very clear. Dakar is not just a sporting competition. It is a human experiment in prolonged endurance, where physical and psychological limits are tested simultaneously, day after day. In 2023, one competitor stood out within the Original by Motul category, a rider of Japanese origin, 60 years old at the time, who managed to complete the Dakar Rally in this extreme class. His participation became a symbol of what the Original truly represents: not pure speed, but absolute perseverance. In an interview, he summarized the experience with a short, heavy sentence. At the end, all you want is to survive until the last day. Every stage feels like an entire lifetime. That statement reflects the shared mindset among Original riders, where simply finishing the Dakar is already the greatest possible victory. Curiously, despite being a competition, the atmosphere among Original by Motul riders is marked by camaraderie. During the early hours at the bivouac, it is common to see competitors exchanging information, lending tools, and offering guidance to one another, always without touching another rider's motorcycle to avoid penalties, even knowing they are helping a direct rival stay in the race. That collective spirit is born from a simple understanding. Everyone there is facing the exact same daily hell. In Original, respect doesn't come from finishing position, but from the fact that you keep moving forward when everything seems to be working against you. Among Dakar riders themselves, competing, and especially finishing, the Original by Motul category carries a unique kind of moral prestige. There are no major trophies, no million-dollar contracts, and no constant spotlight. Recognition comes from the paddock, from the look of someone who knows exactly what that rider endured. Many describe the experience as a personal mission, almost military in nature. The comparison isn't accidental. Harsh routines, sleep deprivation, continuous effort, and the need to keep going even when the body is screaming to stop. For some, choosing Original is also a conscious rejection of the luxury offered by factory teams. It's a way of returning to the rally's roots, where winning means surviving, not necessarily finishing first. One rider summed up this mentality perfectly. It's a test of who you are when everything is against you. In the end, Original by Motul isn't about faster bikes or more famous riders. It's about character, discipline, and the ability to continue when there is no one left to help. The original by Motul category proves that, even in a world increasingly driven by technology and comfort, there is still room for the raw side of motorsport. It preserves the harshest essence of the Dakar Rally, reminding us that this race was born as a human challenge, long before it became a global spectacle. Dakar is already considered one of the toughest races on the planet, but within it, Original by Motul represents its absolute peak. Here, riders aren't just competing against the clock or their rivals. They are battling physical breakdown, mental exhaustion, and the crushing isolation imposed by the desert. When you truly understand this category, the way you look at Dakar changes. That motorcycle parked at night, with a rider covered in grease, working silently under weak lights, stops being just an interesting image and becomes the purest symbol of the rally itself. So here's the invitation. The next time you watch Dakar, pay close attention to that competitor who never appears in the broadcast highlights. The one without a massive team behind him. The one sleeping beside his own bike. He may never win the race, but he is likely living one of the most extreme experiences motorsport has to offer. Because in the end, while many race to win, these riders race to endure. And it's right there, in endurance, not speed, that the greatest stories of the Dakar Rally are born. Now, let me ask you something. Would you have the courage to face Dakar like this? No team, no mechanic, no comfort. Just you, the bike, and the desert. If you were out there, what do you think would break you first? The exhaustion, the fear, or the isolation? Or would you push all the way to the end, testing every limit you have? Drop your answer in the comments. If this video kept you hooked until the end, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep exploring stories of extreme challenges, impossible races, and people who go far beyond the limit. And look, there's another video on your screen right now. Click it, and I'll see you over there. Keep exploring. The world doesn't stop, and neither do we.